And you're on.
Cool. All right. Can you hit the present so it goes full screen?
Geez, you think I'd done this before?
All right. Sorry.
Okay.
All right. So, session one, pretty much what the whole point of this is I went into the office of my commanding officer out here at Bud's, and I talked to him for a while because he said, Logan, you always got to be reading a book. There's always something that you have to be, progressing your mind about. What book are you reading? And I don't know, made some BS book just so I didn't sound like I was doing nothing. And I thought, you know what, he's absolutely right. You always have to be reading a book. I started a new job up in San Francisco in a week from tomorrow. And it's a sales job. It's a lot of heavy volume, cold calling, that sort of stuff. And it's, probably not going to be the most fun, easy job since it's just going to be getting shut down 60 or 70 times a day, which is pretty comparable to my Saturday nights out, so it's not that much of a difference. But this time, it's for money. So my mom bought me this book, and the book was all about how sales is more of a mindset compared to it being a skill set. And I was just like, you know what, this is exactly a book that the CSA needs to read. So I went to her and I said, hey, I'm thinking about doing a book club, and the whole idea is to have people, read this stuff, and we'll go chapter by chapter, and I want them to relate what's being in their book to themselves, to their business, to their personal health, all that sort of stuff. And I said, what do you think? She goes, that's great, but the entire CSA already has the compound effect. Do that book. It's great. So I jumped on the compound effect, read the first half of it, and, just like she said, it's an awesome book, and I think this could really, help us all out in the sense that I'm doing it on Sunday nights, so right before Monday morning, a little, kick in the butt for your Monday morning, get up, get after it type of deal. So, first off, this is only going to be an hour. At 5 o'clock, we're shutting it off. There's a Redskins game on, so 1 hour, that's all you need. And I'm hoping right now, you see we have 8 attendees on here, that you keep doing these, and it keeps getting better and better, and, us meeting is just going to keep compounding on itself eventually to where other people are coming in and giving their 2 cents on, how the compound effect, helps out their life in the, let's say, marketing world or loan officer world and that kind of stuff. So it's just a much more diverse group. So in a nutshell, that is the CSA Badass Book Club. Cool. Let's do it. Next slide. All right. So pretty much the author sets up the book, Darren Hardy, and it's all about how or who he is to give his own credibility. The quote that I put down there was, you could set your watch by his routine, and that was his father doing the same stuff day in and day out, where he was saying you could set your watch by my father's routine, because every single day he would wake up to his metal clanging on his floor because his dad was always in there working out the same stuff. And this guy, Darren Hardy, because of the lessons that he learned when he was a kid, he was a self-made millionaire by 27. Now, do me a favor, I put in the chat box, how many people out there was a self-made millionaire by 27? None. See? So the fact that this guy can do that in itself is just makes it so much easier to read this book. So, yeah, that's pretty much who he is. Yeah, 50K. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was minus $50,000 in debt at 27.
What were you doing that you were so far in debt?
That's when I started my pool company, and I used 5 credit cards at $10,000 each, and I ran them all up because no one would give me shit to buy filters and whatever I needed to buy. So that was where I was at 27, minus 50 grand.
Jack, do me a favor, since I know your mic works, where were you at the age of 27?
27, my wife was pregnant with twins, and I was working a job, and I was running my business on the side, so hustling and scrubbing by and trying to make ends meet.
Did you own a business, or is this you working for someone else?
Yeah, Steve, no one said my mic sucks. I don't know what's up with my mic, but yeah, I own the business also, plus I was an employee when machine.
All right, now tell me this. So, what you learned at the age of 27, where your wife's pregnant, you're just hustling and grinding. Where has that gotten you today? Like that mindset.
It set the tone for everything I do. I mean, I go hard on whatever it is I go after, and I'm pretty laser focused to a fault where I don't look outside of my periphery sometimes, and I'm just so tunnel vision on one specific goal until I get to it.
Did you have like all these routines set in place where, like his father, where every single day you got up and you did the same thing, or were you just such a hustler that it just kind of happened on its own?
No, everything I did was haphazard. It was just, there was no clear direction. It was just do. It was get up and go. You know, you're like a shark just swimming, looking for the next meal. That's it. There was no rhyme or reason. I just was doing.
All right, cool. All right, yeah. Dad, anything on this?
Well, I don't know, Jack. I don't know what's up with your mic, man. It's just awful distorted, so because it's loud, just like what's his name was in Iowa. So sorry about that. So
Is that any better, Steve?
nope.
It's my iPad. I don't know what's up with this.
Yeah, that's the problem with that iPad. So you got to hold it way away from you or something because it picks so sensitive.
Yeah, I'm gonna click off and I'll get back on again and see if I can change that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, with a phone or something, that'd be great. So, yeah, no, all I can say about this routine is, this is doing the crap that nobody wants to do. His dad lifted weights, I read the book, and rain, snow, shine, it didn't matter, man. This guy was in the gym every day doing his routine, and that's what Darren Hardy does every single day. And over time, with the compound effect, you're going to do really well or really crappy, because if you're doing the bad stuff over and over and over, as I'm sitting here drinking a glass of wine, listening to the webinar, the stuff adds up.
Yeah, for sure. Cool. Next one. Okay. So, we've all seen it. It's all everywhere online. All these silver bullets, these get-rich-quick schemes, and none of them work. I mean, there's definitely a pattern to why, there's always new ones popping up, because people will click on it and then realize how silly these are. So, men's health, literally every single men's health, it's how to hang out with more women and how to get fit in a shorter amount of time. And it's the same stuff day in and day out, and all they're going to say is eat healthy, exercise more routinely, but it's just such a gimmicky thing. It's called clickbait, that they want you to come in, and pretty much there's nothing in life that's clickbait. Everything you have to kind of work for, and that's what he's trying to show you with all this stuff, is that you can't, there's no quick fix. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't be in the pawn business. You'd be in the lottery scratch-off business trying to make it work that way. So, I mean, is there anyone out there that, like, you guys have bought into this stuff where you said, okay, like I see this on QVC, it looks like it's a really quick way to get somewhere, like it's a book on the 4-minute workout, and it didn't work. Like, I want to hear, like, kind of a horror story, if anyone out there has one about this stuff.
Logan, I'm back on. Is that any better?
Way better. Yeah.
That's better. I've tried all kinds of things, right? So when the housing boom was going on, we decided that we were going to buy houses, knock them down, and put up new ones. And people were making a lot of money doing it. My problem was I wasn't doing much research about it. I ended up losing my shirt on a house. And it was a good lesson learned, and it turned me off to the whole real estate thing for quite a long time. But it just came from not having a plan and not having a system in place as far as doing my research and knowing the market and understanding what was happening in the world of real estate altogether.
How much, so did you just straight up just go, okay, I got a low interest rate, let me jump on board and buy some investment properties?
Yeah, we bought a house, and they were doing other houses in the area, so we bought a house, knocked it down, put up a brand new house, and at the end of the day, I probably lost like $90,000.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Is that an 08?
That was 08, yeah.
How long did it take you to recoup that back?
Uh, it's been, just constantly over the years, just making it back. I've had some good hits too with other things that I've done, but it was just no rhyme or reason. It was just like a squirrel seeing a nut and going for it and thinking that's the way to go. And that's not the way I approach things today, but it was the way I used to do things.
Okay. Well, that's kind of crazy. I mean, I know at the age of 25, I do that stuff where I'll see that, okay, Facebook's coming out with this new thing. I guess I better invest in their stock right now, put a couple grand in that, and then they go down like another 30 points the next day because all this other stuff. Just because they release this Facebook Live feature, I get so emotionally attached to it and don't actually do my research that I try this get-rich-quick scheme, and it actually ends up backfiring. So I hear you there, man. I'm only 25, so I get it. Dad, what's your shark scale thing?
I bought this stuff on TV called Fat Be Gone. I have been a yo-yo dieter my whole life. I go up and down 25 pounds like every couple of years. And so I bought this stuff that they were claiming on TV and the radio that you could eat ice cream all day long, and the fat in the ice cream would bind to this, and you would poop it out. So you could eat what you want and eat these Fat Be Gone pills. And when I got them, I was a sucker. You buy the first bottle, it was like for $70, and the second bottle is $20. So I bought $90 worth, and this was like 25 years ago. And I started eating these things, and I read on the label it was predominantly shark scales. That's what this shit was in a bottle, and of course it was all hocus pocus. And I gained weight doing it. I got halfway through the first bottle, and so I spent $90 for that silver bullet, which I knew in my heart was crap. But like every other human being on this planet, we all want stuff now. We're the microwave society, so that was about one of the more stupid things I've ever done in terms of a silver bullet.
Has anybody ever tried this stuff in their own business? Because I know, like, I see them, so I'm doing marketing, I see them all the time. They're going away now, but, you pay a company $5,000 and they'll guarantee that you get to the first, #1 spot on Google. Has anybody ever done that?
Yeah, we've done that kind of stuff before.
Did it work?
No, no, it didn't.
No.
Yeah,
this is
it
years
never
ago.
does. The answer is always no.
No. That's the thing. It was not having a marketing plan and not coming up with a marketing budget and figuring out where you were going to spend your dollars. It was just somebody shows up with an idea at your office, and they're like, "Yeah, I can make this happen for you, and it's going to be $3,000 or $5,000." And you're like, "Oh, you know what? I need some work, so let's do that." It wasn't anything planned. It was just, it was almost like a get-rich-quick type of thing where it's too good to be true.
Right. Yeah, they're dying out because I think people are learning that they don't do anything and they're just actually spamming Google. So, Dan,
Yes.
what's your Yelp story? You have a mic?
Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, Yelp is actually pretty credible, and I actually use it a lot. Well, not a lot more, but I've used it since I've paid for it. But for some reason, I think we're all in agreement, too, that it doesn't really work too well for the industry we're in. And I think I paid Yelp probably close to around $3,000, and I didn't really see any spark in my advertisement. And that was before I tracked things a lot better than I do today, though. But those country club magazine ads always used to entice me too, for high-end country clubs, and I've learned that those are worthless as well. Nobody ever looks at those or calls your ad from it. At least I've never gotten a call from them.
Now, how long did it take you to finally go by the numbers and go, you know what, I'm only losing money with this, and you to pull the emotion out and go, okay, it's not working, I gotta stop?
I think the first year I did a country club magazine was 2012, and I tried a couple different ones. I don't know if they just have a database where they give to other country clubs or whoever the heck advertises for them, but yeah, the last time I did it was last year, last fall, and the guy was like, guarantee you'll see something from this. This is different, blah, blah, blah. And, it was the same old spiel. And right when I was signing up, I kind of almost knew, like, in my heart, I was like, I'm probably not going to get my return on investment from this. And I tracked my leads really well this year, and I didn't get a single call from it. So, yeah, don't waste your money on those.
Yeah, we've tried Yelp, and it was definitely the same deal where you just pay, $800 a month, and they'll help you out, and other people in our industry are already doing it, so we got to catch up, and it was just $800 and 20 hours of dealing with them down the drain that you can't get back. So,
Right.
yeah, I get it. So with this, the dermatologist hater, she's 51, she looks 25, and it's a local mom exposes shocking anti-aging secret. Learn the $5 trick to her stunning results. Can anybody guess what this $5 trick is to look 25 when you're 51?
Stay out of the sun.
Tape.
It is sunscreen. They legitimately, someone paid a lot of money to advertise everywhere this thing, and it was just an article about using sunscreen. So it's kind of a theme in this world where everyone wants everything so much faster, but in reality it's just a whole bunch of BS. So yeah, that's the whole book is just all about how everything just adds up, and he's never had any quick fixes for him, so why do you think you can do it for you? So I totally agree with where he's going, and I like it. So all right, next slide.
Hey, Logan, I'd like to find out. We have Rob and Sam on here, and I don't know where they're from. What companies are you guys from? You can either unmic and let us know, or put in the chat.
My company is Great Lakes 1-800 Painting out of Michigan.
Cool. And is this Rob?
Yes.
Okay. And how did you hear about this particular book club?
Tom Reber.
Okay, he sent you the email link to it.
Yes, correct.
All right, cool. Well, the purpose, Rob and Sam, how about you? We don't hear you yet, Sam. So Sam, your mic's not working, but maybe put it in the chat box if you can, just where you're from. So anyway, welcome guys. This whole thing is all about, how to expand and get rich. Really. Right, Logan?
That's exactly why we're here. Get rich, get ripped up, live a better life. Cool. All right. So right before, right before the actual chapter starts, he hits with a quote that says, before we dive in, earning success is hard. The process is laborious, tedious, and sometimes even boring. Now, with that quote, does this quote speak to any of you guys out there in the contracting industries? Yes or no? You gotta answer it.
Yes.
All right. Laura, what about your industry could you say is laborious, tedious, or boring?
A bunch of stuff. Making the calls every week. It's tedious, and calling customers. And sometimes I don't do it because it's very tedious, but I'm supposed to call 6 people a week.
And who set that up for you? Is that you?
Yeah.
How's that work out in the end for you?
When I do it, it works out great.
When what exactly are you calling them about, though? Just to say, hey?
Different sales things. Like I call two previous clients, 2 current clients, and 2 potential clients.
Now, who else out there calls at least 6 clients a week just to check in and try sales stuff? Right, it's the stuff like that you don't necessarily want to do but you got to do. I remember back when I worked for my dad doing the pond stuff, I was the, I guess, low man on the totem pole, a.k.a. rock bitch. So my job was to pretty much move the rock from the front yard to the backyard all day. And if there's something that can be described as laborious, tedious, and boring, that is being the rock bitch. But it's a job you got to do. So it definitely teaches you the structure of doing the boring stuff to get to the really sexy stuff at the end. And I thought a good example of that was this guy, Wayne Huizenga. Is that how you say it, Dad?
Yeah, Huizenga.
Huizenga. Does anybody out there know who this guy is by judging, looking at the picture?
How did he make his big money?
What he did was in 1968, he went out with a dump truck or a pickup truck, and he started picking up trash. He started this company called Waste Management, which I'm sure you guys might have heard once or twice, in 68. And by 1971, Waste Management was a publicly traded company. So in 3 years, he went out and did this. I mean, I know what it was like moving the rock back and forth, but I can only imagine what picking up other people's trash, how humbling that is. But in 3 years, he went from having him in one truck to a publicly traded company. So, I mean, how cool is that right there? And he now is the owner of the Dolphins, and he's also had his hand in both their in the Heat and their the Florida Marlins. So from trash man to multi-professional sports owner is not a bad life to live. I put one more quote down there. Does anybody listen to the MF CEO?
Yep, I do every day.
I'll listen to him. Like I just started listening to him. My dad turned me on to him, and he's awesome. I mean, it's just the same stuff that but you just kind of need a fire to be lit under your butt to get this stuff rolling. And one of the things he talks about is grit. And I remember Greg Woodstock. For those of you who don't know who that is out there, Greg is the owner of Aquascape, which is like the leading pond and water feature equipment manufacturer. And he always talks about grit and how his guys have grit. Well, the MFCEO defined grit as grit is doing the same monotonous stuff over and over and over, which is moving that rock from the front to the back. So that's what it's all about. Who else out there has just, anybody else have a different definition of grit that they can, apply to their business?
Can you hear me?
Yep.
So my problem is it's not about necessarily the grit. It's the feeling like I'm imposing on somebody when I call them. And so I'm like, well, maybe they're busy. Maybe they don't want to hear from me. Maybe they've heard from other people that day. So I'm dumb enough to not learn from it every time, because when I do make the call, it feels good. I feel like I've accomplished something, even if I write them, if I take them off my list. But I don't want to call because I make all these excuses as to why I shouldn't call. But as I said, once I do call, I normally get good results. I mean, they're like happy to hear me. And I know that the deal is, if it were the other way around, how would I feel if somebody called me? And it's normally pretty positive, but I haven't put it together enough to commit myself, as Laura was saying, to making the calls like I'm supposed to make.
How do you set it up? Like, is there a certain routine that you go through? Because I know that they say, like, call someone easy first, so that way you get a win under your belt. Do you have any sort of system that you do?
Well, for me, I'm a loan officer. I'm a mortgage banker, and so I know which clients I have, but whether they be realtors or people I've done a mortgage for, that make me feel good. And just to kind of touch base with them, I'm gonna obviously I always we have one of my bosses. There's a book called Eat the Frog First, and
It's get over the worst ones first. Eat, it's like when you go to dinner and you got crap on your menu and you got to eat it. You eat that first, and then you end with the good stuff. So I'm not necessarily positive. For me, I would probably go with get the worst over first.
Mm-hmm.
But then I know that everything's going to be better. Otherwise, I have a kid who every time he went to do a handstand, it freaked him out. So then what he would do is put the handstand early in the program. So after that, everything went well.
You know what? I can identify with that story.
I bet you can.
Thanks, Mom.
Yeah.
So what she's talking about is I was a diver in college, and I was such a mental head case with you have to go up on this 10-meter platform and do a handstand into a dive. And I was a gymnast, so I know how to do handstands, but it was such a mental trip for me that I would have to put the handstand first, because otherwise, out of the 6 dives that I was required to do, I would get up there in the first dive and be worrying about the handstand, even though the handstand dive is the 5th dive. So I finally had to say, screw it, I'm putting it first. That way, whether it goes great or it goes terrible, it's over with after the first 30 seconds. So that's what she's talking about. All right, Dad, what else you got for this? Anything?
Well, my first company I started was a swimming pool company, a lifeguard business, but we had to every year drain and acid wash 500 swimming pools. Now, how many of you have ever acid washed anything out there? We got 18 people on the call here. Put in the chat box if you've acid washed anything. So there's 2 yeses. So on a scale from 1 to 10, okay, for the yeses, 10 being totally shitty, where do you rate acid washing? When you breathe in those fumes, Sandra says 100 on a scale from 1 to 10. And Rob, you know it. So you don't get much more acid washing, with the exception of when you acid wash the bowl, the deep end, the 10-foot section of a swimming pool, because what do the fumes do? It's the same purpose of the gases in World War I. They hover low. All these gases sink. So you got to run into the cloud of shit, of smoke, of lung-burning muriatic acid to, finish up and run back out there. So that's the crappiest job I've ever done in my life, and I did it hundreds of times a year. And I know every time I did it, I'm like, I know why I make big money, way more money than all my friends, because I'm willing to do the shit that there's no way they would do, okay? So all you people that have acid washed before, imagine doing it a freaking 100 times a year. When I first met my wife, we were just dating. I got to know all her friends. And you remember when you first met your spouse or girlfriend or boyfriend, and the peer pressure to have her friends like you is immense, right? So we were having a party at her friend's house, and I was just a new boyfriend, so I wanted to show up and be impressive so her friends liked me. You all remember that feeling? Put in the chat box if you've had that feeling before. You know the peer pressure, and you want to be liked by others. So here I am. I know all her new friends, not all of them, but we're going to this big party. But I'm late because I have to acid wash another swimming pool, a baby pool, but I have to do this thing, and it's disgusting. So as luck or didn't have it, that frickin' girlfriend of my wife's and all the party people was at that complex where I was doing the acid washing. And the party started like, I don't know, 8 o'clock, and there it was at dark, 7:30, and I'm acid washing this baby pool. I smell, I look like shit, I look like the janitor, and I am blue collar scum as they come. And one by one, and I'm down there in the fog, Steve, is that you? I'm like, who the hell knows me? One by one, my wife's friends, my new friends to be, the friends I was trying to impress, were walking past me, looking at me, and I'm thinking in my head, what do you think I was thinking? Put in the chat box. What do you think was going through my head when the people I was trying to impress the most, I'm sitting there in a fume of acid looking like a dirt ball? What do you think I felt like? Put a word in the chat box. Yeah. You were stinking. No, I'm a turd. Yes. I was scum. And I felt like I was the janitor. I felt beneath everybody. And I was so embarrassed, so freaking embarrassed to be that guy in front of these people I wanted to impress. Well, fast forward a couple of years, one of those guys who was a mortgage banker, we were going out to get some more beer. By this time, I was fast friends with all of them. And he was like, Steve, how much money do you think you're gonna want to make this year? I'm like, well, I have a goal. He goes, like me, I hope to make $70,000 this year. And he goes, what about your number, Steve? And I said, Rick, I think I'm going to make 250 this year. What do you mean 250? 250,000. 250,000? Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to make this year. So all of a sudden, that acid washing experience didn't look so bad to me. The bottom line is, the point is, if you're willing to do the shit no one else wants to do over and over and over, grit, grind it every single day, you'll come out on top. It won't feel like that at first, but trust me, at the end, it will. End of story.
That's awesome. It's like the third time I've heard that story, and every time I like it. So I appreciate that. All right. The magic penny. Now, this is an example that he gives in the book, and pretty much the whole idea is that you just have to kind of keep grinding stuff out until it finally works. And what he gave in the book was you have two options. You either take $1 million. I think he might actually use $3 million, but for this example, use $1 million. On day 0 of the month, you either get $1 million or you get, starting off on day 1, 1 penny, but every day the amount that you get doubles. So day 1 is 1 cent, day 2 is 2, 3 is 4 cents, so on and so forth. And if you look by the graph, it looks like you're pretty much hovering at 0 from day 0 up until day 23 and a half. And then you finally make a little bit off the ground, but you're still well below that $1 million. I mean, you're nowhere even near it, and you don't finally jump across that $1 million mark until day 28. So you just sucked it up. So out of 31 days in the month, the first 28, you're kicking yourself going, God, I don't know if I should be doing this anymore. I'm screwed. I should have just taken the $1 million. But by day 28, you're pushing that $1 million mark, and by day 31, you're well over $10 million. So, I mean, is there anything out there like that in your business that you can think of where you're, in the past, you've just been grinding and grinding and grinding from day 0 to day, 27, and then finally on day 28, it worked? Is there anybody out there that can think of something like that that has happened with them?
So you're all are kind of muted, but you can unmute yourself if you want to talk. And if you're trying to talk and it's not working, throw it in the chat box and I'll unmute you. So I know, Logan, in a weight loss situation, a lot of times I get to day 25 and I haven't lost enough weight for me compared to the pain I'm putting in, and I say, screw it, I'm done. And then I give up on day 23, when day 25 and 27 and 29 and 60, when it really starts to show the results. So, and I think a lot of us get sick and tired. I mean, Logan, do you know when the average New Year's resolution person, weight loss person, gives up? Put in the chat.
I actually had this.
Yeah, you know that number, Logan?
I don't know the exact thing, but I had this exact talk with my coach at my gym right now because it's November, and it's dying. It's literally dying right now at our gym.
So go ahead, put in the chat box. We still got 16 people here. Put in the chat box, how many days in from January 1, when do like 90% of the frickin' people are done? Come on, anybody else out there? This is worth $100,000 to you and a company Lamborghini.
I'm going to go 2 weeks.
So 90% of everybody's done with their New Year's resolution on January 5th. That's 5. Okay, not 1 5 or 2 5, 5. 5 frickin' days. This is what is known as the microwave mentality population that we live in. If it don't come in 5 days, screw it. I'm done. Is that amazing?
I think it's everyone sets their sights so high. I mean, they come in. I have a buddy right now, and so I'm in the Navy, and there's standards in the Navy where if you have a bad BMI, you can get like a special thing where as long as your waist is sub 39 inches, you're good. Well, he's rocking 38.75 inches, and he's a 27-year-old guy, and he can go out. I mean, he can still run, 2 miles in 15 minutes, but 38.75 inches at this age is nuts. So I'm talking with him, and I'm like, hey, man, let's go on a diet together. That way it's easier for you to get, back in shape and everything, and we'll work it out. But what he does is he goes from eating like crap to immediately jumping into this, 1,200 calorie a day diet where all he's eating is, baked chicken and broccoli, and that's it. And it's just not a sustainable thing by any means. So I know this is, kind of a bit of a tangent from that, but a lot of this grinding stuff day in and day out and all the goal setting, it just has to be a realistic thing. And I see it so many times with people like that they're just like, you know what, I'm going to drop all this weight. It's almost beach season in 2 weeks. I got to get ripped up, and it just doesn't work. I mean, so I think that's part of why all this 5-day stuff is a very real thing. So, I mean, it's a goal-setting thing on top of that, too. So I'd say with this Magic Penny example that he talks about is just pick something totally achievable and make that your grind. So what I found was actually very fitting with his Magic Penny was the fact that on the penny it is Abraham Lincoln, and I don't know if you guys know this, but he had a pretty rough life before he was elected president. So what I put together, you don't have to buckle up for this one, was this little graph to show you as all these struggles that he dealt with his whole life, what day he's on until he finally makes it. So, all right, Dad, let's hit it. All right, day 0, he's nothing, Day 0, hit it again. At day 0, same thing with the penny. You have $0, so you're not a positive, you're not negative, you're not out $1 million yet, you're good. In Lincoln's life, by day 5, he'd already lost his job, been defeated for legislature, and he failed in his business. So hit it. Day 5, he's still got nothing. He's just still grinding. He's still stuck on 0, and it doesn't look too great. Usually at this point, day 5, people quit. I would think that if you're going for something like Lincoln and you've already got defeated, you lost your job, I mean, all that stuff, you've already got a lot of stuff going against you, you might as well quit and just go do banking or something like that. All right, by day 10, he actually is elected. His sweetheart dies, and he has a nervous breakdown. Now, I've never had a nervous breakdown, but I can't imagine how, if it's easy from there to kind of rebound and keep going. So, hit it again. His day 10, look where he is. He's still got nothing. He's been sucking it up for 10 days trying to make this thing work, and he's, if you look at it, literally got nowhere. He's gone from, at this point, 0 cents to maybe 14 cents. By day 15, he's been defeated for Speaker, defeated for nomination for Congress, and then finally elected to Congress. All right, so he finally has a little win in his belt, which kind of screws up my graph, so there's no little blip, but, I mean, defeated twice already going into that, he's still at 0. Still got nothing, still just trugging along, trying to make it through. Hit it again. Day 20, lost renomination, so he's back down to square 0. Rejected for land officer and defeated for Senate. And I'm pretty sure, they don't list it in this, I'm pretty sure his father dies between day 15 and day 20 for him. So hit it. He's gone through all this, been defeated so many times, trying to grind it out. Day 20, where is he? He's still nowhere. He's gotten nothing done so far except for just pretty much lived 20 days of just disappointment to himself. But day 25, Before then he goes defeated for vice president, again defeated for Senate, and then he's elected president. Hit it. Day 25, he finally sees some light under his graph. He finally gets off that zero ground where he actually sees it, and he sees that he's making a difference, and he's starting to really, this compounding of him just grinding and this grit and doing this stuff over and over and over, even after he's lost all this stuff. I mean, this is sales in itself right here. You have to go through 24 days of just getting kind of stepped on and not making it to finally get off the ground, and then by the time day 31 comes around, he's one of the greatest presidents of all time. So go back to the graph. Hit the left button, Dad. Hit the left one more time. So do me a favor, in the chat box, tell me where you think you're at in your business. Are you on day 1, day 9, where you still got some more time to go, or are you finally starting to see it, so you're at day 25, or maybe even day 28, where you're past that $1 million mark? So Sandra says 15, 23, 19 2/3, 20, 15. So what it looks like is everyone in here, it looks like they're getting close, and they think that they're finally onto something. I mean, Jack finally just hit $1 million. I mean, Jack, how long have you been in business for, and how long has it taken you to get to that $1 million mark?
I've been in business for 16 years, and we had $1 million goal going back over 3 years ago, and we finally just hit it.
So would you say, so you're at 20, so you're, okay, if you look at 20 on the graph, you're like just getting up, so you're actually making some traction at that point. What's your goal for next year then?
Our goal for next year is 1.275, but I have a 10-year goal of 3 million.
10-year, 3 million. So you're hitting that day 27, day 28 by that point, where you're crossing that threshold.
Right.
Awesome. Congrats on that, by the way. That's pretty cool. I know.
Thanks.
My dad said that. He was like, yeah, Jack is like 10 grand short, so I'm thinking about just sending him a check just to make it over. And I was like, yeah, you should send him a check and then bounce it and just see his face. But
that happened to me actually. I was at my goal, and then I got a call and they canceled the job, so I had to get out there and sell some more.
So Jack was at day 20, and then he got the job canceled, and he went back to day 19. So that's cool. You got back to day 20, and now you're hitting day 21. So
yeah,
congrats, Jack. That's sweet.
Thank you.
So
Cool.
Logan, Jack, explain to them why I put 4% up there.
So out of all the companies in the entire country, only 4% make it to $1 million in revenue.
Yep.
The largest companies down to the smallest ones, only 4% in the entire country make it to that $1 million mark.
What's the stat? It's like the average small business goes out of business in what, like 18 months? Is that what it is?
It's something like that. I think it's like 90-something% of businesses fail.
Yeah, it's 90% of these small businesses get to day 15, 16, they lose their Senate reelection, and they bounce. They don't ever hit to that day 20. So,
hey Logan, the average restaurant, you know how long does the average restaurant in America stay in the business? Now this stat's 10 years old, and I don't think it's any better.
I'm gonna guess 1 year.
Go ahead, put in the chat box how many the average this is a 10-year-old stat.
I'm going with 6 months.
The answer, Alan got the answer right. It's 3 months. Jeez. And the number one reason that they go out of business in 3 months is what? They did not have enough resources. They didn't plan on, if no one walks through the door in 3 months, oh, that's never going to happen. Oh, yeah, guess what? It happens. And they run out of money, so they're done. Amazing, huh?
Yeah, I see what Sandra said. We did a thing in the Navy. It's proper prior planning prevents piss poor performance.
What's
So
that?
getting back to what Jack said about all those houses and real estate, just the fact that you kind of went in blind, it just ruined it. And I think that's kind of what these restaurant owners do. A lot of times, I'm sure they're probably just a good chef and they jump right in hoping to make it big. And 3 months in, day 9, they say, screw it, I'm out, and they just drop right back off the mat.
Yeah, Logan, a popular saying is failing to plan is planning to fail.
Yeah, that's awesome. Same deal. So, cool. All right. So, I added this one in there because me as a youthful 25-and-a-half-year-old, I've been saving up, and it's very easy. I look at my friends, and I see a lot of them driving around BMWs and Mercedes that they're not even owning it. They lease it. So not only do they not get the car at the end, but they're spending all this money just to look cool riding around in it. So I have right now in my online Schwab account $43,567.03. All right, at the age of 25, I mean, like, I don't know anyone else of my friends that have saved anything. I mean, I got Colby, my little brother, who's beaten me, but, that's about it. And I know that if right now, if I don't touch it and I put it in a portfolio that mirrors the S&P 500, which historically the S&P 500 has 7% returns. It says 10%, but when you take out inflation, it's 7%. I know that with this $43,500, if I don't touch it until 67, which is when Social Security kicks in, or I guess it's supposed to kick in, I don't really see it being around then, I'll have $746,000 and some change in the bank. So I know right now if I don't ever touch it, never add anything else to it, never take anything out, I have $750,000 waiting for me by the time 67 comes around, which I think, at my age is pretty gnarly. I mean, I don't know anyone else that's doing this. Like, I talk to my sister, and she'll call me up, and she'll be like, okay, Logan, what is a Roth? So I have to, break that down to her and that kind of stuff. So it's, yeah, Dan, you're right. I do have, it's pretty fortunate that I get to be a part of this group and see, what the end of the tunnel is supposed to be like. So do me a favor, without me being sounding too cocky, drop in the chat box, if you knew this stuff at age 25. How much were you guys really planning on a scale of 1 to 10, not planning at all, 10, you were, 100% in. Scale of 1 to 10, at the age of 25, how much were you planning for your retirement at age 67? 0. Yeah. Two, negative. Yeah, see, at that point, you're still spending. You're in debt. You're not even adding up. So I think this is just kind of a cool little graph that, for me, it helps so much when I do this because I listened to, I think it was him that says it, where it's like every $10 that you save in 25 years is going to be worth $50. I mean, it's an unreal amount of money that, you go out and you drink that coffee, and it adds up in the end. Yeah, okay, so Jack is the outlier here. The union, pension, and the annuity. So, Jack, you're screwing us up, but I appreciate that. Dad, what do you got for this?
Well, I got a couple things. Number one, you see how happy that made Jack. He quit the union. I guess he still has a pension annuity or whatever, but that wasn't making him happy. And, and all this stuff we're talking about, I mean, we're trying to make money for the right reasons. We're not trying to make money to be a greedy pig. And I got to say something about this kid putting on this webinar, my son, I know it, but he's 25 years old. I had $3,000 to my name, period. This is 2 years before I started my own company. And here's my own son with $43,000 in a retirement, in a investment account, okay? And the only one he knows that can beat him is his younger brother. I mean, who does this? Who does this in their mid-20s? No, I didn't even know about this stuff, Lisa. I didn't know, till I was 30, God, 37 or 8 or 9 or whatever. And I hired a man for $50 an hour to teach me about the stock market in 1993, however old I was and all that thing. So this kid has an amazing start. And if he can do what he says and not touch his money, put it in the S&P 500 and let it go at 7%, that's after inflation. Not that he'll be set with $746,000, but Jesus Christ, how many of us have $746,000 to our name? You know, when we get to be retirement. The purpose of this club, okay, is to knock some sense into us. I mean, give me a break. Everybody listening to me right now, listen to Logan right now at 7 o'clock, now 8 o'clock on a Sunday night, talking about a book club. My God, 5 years ago, how many of you put in the chat box would sit here and go, you know what? At 5 years, I'm going to be at a book club, an internet book club at 8 o'clock on a Sunday night while the frickin' football game's on. Come on, give me a yes or no if you think you would ever be here. This is ridiculous. And you 17 people that are on here are freaking awesome. This is a test. You know what you're doing right now? You're doing the shit no one wants to do. You're being gritty, okay? You are doing the stuff that how many other people have know about this book club tonight and aren't here? I can promise you 500 people know about this stuff. 17 are doing it, okay? So my hat's off to you guys. And you guys that aren't part of the CSA that are on here, if you like this kind of stuff, then there's a club for you, okay? We'll talk about that more as we go into this. But I got to tell you, Logan, I'm a proud dad, and I know your mom's on here. She's a proud mom. And I'm not saying this because I'm your dad or she's your mom. I'm saying this because I'm looking at the numbers. You got $43,000 freaking dollars in the bank on its way to $1 million if you don't do shit, if you don't do anything else. And I'm pretty proud of you. And I'm proud of, this is Logan's idea, this whole book club. This isn't Dad's idea. This is him. And at 25 years old, I was smoking pot and drinking beer looking to get laid. There was no way I was putting together a book club talking about money. So, Logan, I'm super proud of you. And I just want to thank you. You did a great job your first time out of the gate. So congratulations to you.
Thank you. You know Mom's on this call, though, right? I think she heard that last comment.
Yeah, I know, but I didn't meet her till I was 27. Yeah. And that's when I got a clue. So, cool. Logan, we're bumping up, so give us some parting words if you want.
Cool. Hit the next slide.
Okay. There we go.
There you go. All right. So, like I said at the very beginning, we're doing this on Sunday nights for this exact reason. This little pump up, kick you in the butt, get ready to go, because Monday morning is where it happens. CSA, that stuff happens on Tuesday afternoons, but statistically, the most productive day of the week is Tuesday. So by the time you're listening to that webinar, it's already too late. So we figure Sundays, let's get after it. So with that being said, tomorrow morning, you're going to get up and hit the snooze button, or are you going to go get up, okay, let me get that beach body right, let me get up, let me start making those calls to my customers, let me write those thank you notes. It's just the little things like that that will really add up. I think Andy Northey put in some video in the private group about how if you wake up at 4:30 before everyone else, you're like the most productive person compared to all your peers. And that's exactly what this guy, Darren Hardy, is trying to preach, is just to be routine, to be exact, to grit it out. You will be light years ahead of everyone else, whether you're 25, 55, whatever it is. So, do me a favor, drop it in the chat box. What is the first thing you do tomorrow morning when you wake up? Gym at 5.
You know, I got to tell you, is there any reason that a guy that just joined the $1 Million Club is at the gym at 5? Is that like a total coincidence? Yeah, he's fat.
He's trying to enjoy his million for as long as possible. Right. I mean, if you look at it, these are all people in this book right now, like Sunday night, 8 o'clock, at a book club meeting. and everyone in here typing stuff are doing stuff conducive to a lifestyle they want to live on Monday mornings, and it's definitely not a fluke. It's all about, straight up direct relations.
So Logan, why don't you mention about the takeaways and the Facebook page and all that?
Cool. Yeah, so do me a favor. So since this is the first one, I want to feel out how you guys think it went. In that Facebook page, the book club Facebook page, just drop in a takeaway. Tell me how you like the book. Tell me how you like the webinar. If there's stuff I got to change, because I want this stuff to take off, because I think that there's so many people that need to hear this on a Sunday night versus finishing up their Sunday funny type deal. So just same way that you do with the CSA stuff, give me your biggest takeaway and anything that you'd like to see done or improved upon or any of that kind of stuff. And also, this is being recorded, so we'll put it into the public Badass Book Club page, so that way if you need to go back and hear anything else or just hear my voice, you got it. So Jack says, the compound effect is the principle of reaping huge rewards from a series of small, smart choices. That's 100% true. So 5 a.m. gym time for Jack, and hopefully you look like me in 4 months, Jack, but you never know.
Well, you know what?
Cool.
Next week, Logan, put a picture of yourself. Put one of those crazy videos of you on the doing those pull-ups you do. Jack says he looks like he ate you.
Yeah, I know.
All right, Logan,
All
good
right.
job, man.
Awesome. All right, guys, thanks for everything. It's been fun, and next week, make sure you have Chapter 2, which is all about choices. So we'll really dive in and have you guys jump in more, so that way we get a pretty wide range of hearing what you guys like to do as far as, compounding stuff. So, all good?
All good.
Cool. All right, thanks, guys. Have a good week, and I'll see some of you guys on Tuesday. Yep,
Yeah,
Chapter 2, Jeremy. Chapter 2,
yeah.
Compound Effect, is the homework.